Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, guys, I'm going to be talking about the 5 most necessary mods for the G87 M2 here, at least in my opinion. And that this is a very subjective topic, so just kind of keep that in mind going into it. But we're going to be talking about those things today. I wanted to give a quick disclaimer because I haven't been able to post as much content as I usually do on the channel over like the last 2 weeks or so, just because we've been hard at work in the shop here. We've got a lot of painting going on, so lots and lots of stuff. But before we jump into what that first mod is, I definitely want to show you guys something here at the shop. It's pretty cool, and I think you'll like it. So let's go ahead and check that out real quick. All right, so I know that we had talked about the souvenir front lip, but as of recently, they did go ahead and send out their carbon fiber side skirts here. I am super impressed with the fitment and the overall quality of everything. It just lines up perfectly with the fenders there. But also, you can see there that we finally have our new wheels and tires installed on the car. Now, what I had actually done when I put these wheels on this car, I actually took the stock Michelin PS4Ss from the rear and I put them up front because they're 285, I think 30/20s. So these are 20-inch wheels. So we needed that bigger tire, and I wanted to see if we could fit 285s on the car. But when I had those tires on the car, it just felt like the car was kind of skating all over the place. It was rubbing really, really bad on the inner fender liner there. So I went and ordered the, essentially the same size, so 275, 30, 20s in the front. And then we still have these, and these are both the Nitto, the NT555 G2s, and the traction is much better. And yeah, really loving the fitment here. I'll show you the front fitment. It's basically perfect. I don't know if I could be any more happier with the offset here. So it is +2 in the front, +8 in the rear. And I'll show you the rear here too. Again, just completely matches the front. So overall, very impressed with the fitment. I'm so glad that they're finally on the car. And yeah, but one thing I did want to show you as it pertains to the shop here, we've been working on this room and we finally got all of our hex lights up. Sorry for the echo in here, but you could just see how amazing it looks with a car in here, which we're gonna have multiple cars parked in here. So this will be like the retail side and the lounge side. So kind of where the car's parked now, there's gonna be a bunch of seating there, coffee table, probably have the car parked over here, and then again, back against this window. But we're definitely making progress in here. But these lights, they look incredible, but they were such a pain to install. And they're kind of not perfect yet, but we still have a little bit more work to do on them. But just wanted to show you guys an update on that. Let's go ahead and jump into that first mod. So the first mod is going to be here inside of the car. Well, the first couple of them, I should say. But the first one is definitely going to be this radar detector, but not just the radar detector. So Blend Mount makes a mount for this radar detector and it keeps it nice and flush under that mirror. And then also we have the hardwire kit that goes ahead and taps into the mirror wiring there. And it just keeps it really nice out of the way. It's a very clean look. That way you're not having to worry about running the cable down here around the screen into the cigarette or lighter down there. And in my opinion, this is a very necessary mod, especially in these cars, and you don't have to get this radar detector in specific. This is the Uniden R8 and it's pricey. It's like $700, but you don't have to get that one, right? You can get a different radar detector, but the blend mount itself, I think it was like $160. The actual wiring kit was about $15 on Amazon. I'll link those down below in the description of this video as always. But there's 2 things that I think are must-haves in not only this car, but any car in general. All right, mod number 2. This one is going to be another interior mod. And I'm going to kind of lump a couple of things in together, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is the Alcantara steering wheel. And for me, this is something that, again, was a necessity just because I feel like it just takes the interior up a notch. And, you know, a lot of people have reached out to me and been like, well, I like it, but it's just so hard to clean and maintain. But the reality is if you're washing your car on, let's just say like a weekly basis, it'll maybe take you 60 seconds to do a quick once over on the Alcantara steering wheel. And then from there, as long as you're maintaining it and kind of using a brush to go ahead and brush up all the fibers so they don't get matted down, then you'll be fine. The only problem you're gonna run into is if you don't take care of it, of course, after time, it's gonna be matted down, it's gonna look like crap. But as it sits right now, it looks really, really good. And there's the radar detector going off there, that's funny. Let's shut that off. Along with that Alcantara steering wheel is definitely going to be these JQ Works paddle shifts. So you can just hear the sound quality there. And these just make the car, especially for the automatic version, it just makes it so much more of an enjoyable experience. At least that is my preference. And the stock ones are super muted. I mean, you can't really feel them. There's no click, no audible click to them. But these, like, there's a substantial click, and it's just a good bit of feedback on the actual shifts themselves. All right, next up, number 3, and that is going to be a carbon fiber front lip. Now, obviously, we've talked about this Souvenir one on the car a bunch, but I think at the end of the day, to finish the front end, I really think that this car needs and deserves a front lip. Doesn't necessarily have to be some Souvenir, but any front lip, I think, definitely does the front end a lot more justice, and it just kind of brings everything together. Now, when we talk about front lips, I personally don't like the M Performance one where they have like the winglets that come up right here. That doesn't look good to me, but I think a lip that isn't super obnoxious or like over the top with fins and flares everywhere. So that's why I really appreciate this Souvenir lip. And I just think that, like I said, it just ties the whole front end together, because without that, it just doesn't look complete in the front. And I think that with that front lip on there, it definitely looks complete. And then following it back, we have the side skirts, and it just matches completely with that front splitter to the side skirts all the way back. We still have yet to address anything in the rear, but we will very, very soon. So stay tuned for all that stuff. But yeah, let me know what you think down below of this Souvenir carbon fiber front lip. I really, really love it. And yeah, let me know what you think. All right, the next one is actually going to be under the hood here. So let's open that guy up and let's check it out. So one of the first things that I did to this car was these intakes. And this is a game-changing mod because of the sound that these front-mounted intakes produce. But not only that, you'll see here that it just looks incredible as well. So this is the Project Gamma front-mounted intakes. And it's funny enough because, and I know that I've talked about these when I first bought the car and I was doing the install videos, but this is essentially the same exact intake from the G80 or G82 platform. So it just kind of fits right on this because it's the same motor, and didn't have any problems installing it or anything. But I definitely liked the fact that they have a bunch of different options as far as Project Gamma front mounted intakes go. You can get this forged carbon. They just came out with a dry carbon one that looks really, really good. And I'm kind of upset that they came out with that after I got this one, because I probably would have went that direction. But the forged carbon is nice. It's definitely a different, unique kind of look to things under the engine bay. We do have the Project Gamma strut bar there too, or the brace, and then the Downstar engine dress-up kit. But really, I cannot express to you enough, and it doesn't even have to be a Project Gamma intake, but if you go with a front-mounted intake, or really any aftermarket intake for that matter, you're still gonna get a little bit better performance. It's probably negligible, but the sound alone that just adding an intake to the car makes is absolutely insane. I'll try to include some clips here, but in my opinion, this is one of the best mods that you can do to the car right out of the box if you don't want to go the route and doing like crazy stuff like sending the ECM or ECU out to have tuned, and you don't want to go down that whole rabbit hole. Putting this on and let's just say like a single-sided mid-pipe, it's plenty, and you're going to be very happy with the way that the car responds to those mods and the way that the car sounds. All right, so let's talk about the fifth and final and arguably the most important mod that I've done to the car, at least I feel like. And I could be like every other YouTuber, every other shop that's out there that makes content as it pertains to the G87 M2 here and say, okay, well, the first thing you need to do is address the fitment, but what about after that? Like, obviously we have the fitment dialed in. Obviously there's a bunch of different springs that you could use. I personally went with the KW Haas kit to get the fitment front and rear that I have now. And then also on stock wheels, we had, I think 15 mil spacers in the front, 18 in the back, or maybe it was reversed. I can't remember exactly what those were, but I'll link the video to that specific content that I put out down below as well. Since we've added new wheels to the car and we don't have to run spacers anymore, and this really pertains to those of you that, even if you want to add a little bit more power and you say don't want to send your ECU out to Femto and have it unlocked and void your warranty and do all that stuff, let's just say that you want to run a JB4, you're going to find out very soon, especially with these automatic cars, since this car is rear-wheel drive, you're going to find out very soon that traction is a bit of a nightmare, right? And that's one thing that I've been struggling with since I've tuned the car, and we're running stage 2 OTS, downpipes, and all the other bolt-ons that you could really think of. And we're pushing, I would say, just right around 600 horsepower. But like I said, traction was a bit of a nightmare. So I think that probably if you're adding any horsepower or trying to add a little bit of horsepower to your M2, then you're definitely going to want to consider going a different route in terms of tires rather than just keeping the stock Michelins or the stock Pirelli P0s. And for me, I went with these Nitto, I think it's the NT 555 G2s. And since I put these on, I haven't had a bit of problems with traction. Now, obviously, once we get the tires warmed up, then the traction is even more better. But I just wanted to include that for you guys. And like I said, when I had swapped over the stock Michelins in the front of the car, we drove out probably, we went on about a 90-minute drive around some mountains and stuff like that. And the car just felt like it was floating on those Michelins. I even lowered down the PSI in the tire to like 27, and I was still having those issues. But since we've switched over to these Nittos, we don't have any more problems. And you might ask why I went with the Nittos is because I've gone the route of the Toyo R888s before, but they just don't last very long. And with the amount of mileage that I'm putting on this car, I think we're at like, maybe over 7,000 miles currently. I've had the car for about 6 months. So, I've put some seat time into the car, that's for sure. I've definitely enjoyed it. It's not just sitting in the garage all the time. It kind of has been, just because I have the truck as a daily driver now, and we've been down here at the shop working and doing that stuff, but I still drive the crap out of this car. And I think that the most important mod that I've done recently to the car, and the most necessary, has definitely been upgrading the tires to something that is going to give us a little bit more traction. Because in about 2 weeks, so October 21st, we are going down to an event here in Arizona. It's called No Fly Zone. So it is a airport runway that they shut down, and we're going to be doing a half-mile roll race event there. And I just wanted to make sure that the car was set up and ready to go, and I wasn't going to have to worry about anything. Hopefully we get a lot better traction than we did with the stock wheels, or the stock tires rather, and we can put up some cool numbers, right? So before then, I definitely need to install the Flex Fuel kit and then flash the Flex tune. I'm just gonna go with the OTS tune. I'm still kind of trying out the off-the-shelf boot mode tunes, and so far so good. After that, I will probably go the route of a custom tune. However, I would like to find somebody here local that can just tune the car, because I've heard it's a bit of a nightmare to have to go and data log and then send it back to your tuner, and then they send you back the tune, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of back and forth, and if people are busy, then that can get drug out even more. So that is the plans coming up in the next couple of weeks for the car. Again, sorry I haven't been able to make too much content as of recently, but like I said, we've got a ton of stuff going on here, and that is the main priority right now. But it was pretty cool. We had kind of like a Cars and Coffee pre-meet here just a couple of days ago, and it went really, really well. We had a bunch of people out there in the parking lot. But that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's video, guys. Of course, let me know your thoughts of everything that we talked about down below in the comment section of this video. And of course, we will catch you on the next one.